Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd stand and please join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, and it is. Renee, if you would please call the roll.
Renee Manita for the roll call. Karen Andrus. Here. Carl Baracco. Absent. Joseph Cruz. Here. Ron Inge.
Here.
Christy Knight. Here. Matthew Lincolnhall. Here. John Paul.
Present.
Christopher Robin.
Here.
Nathan Shaw.
Present.
Sawyer Smith is absent. Shane Spring is absent. Andrew Sund.
Here.
And Bridget Throw.
Here.
That's a quorum.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for coming on a rainy night. The next item is item 4, approval of the minutes from the August 20th, 2025 meeting. They've been circulated by email. If you've had a chance to read them, that would be wonderful, because we'll be happy to entertain any comments, or if not, motion for approval. Do we have one? Mr. Sun?
Mover second.
Okay. Mr. Sun motion, Mr. Shaw seconded. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second for approval of minutes. Any discussion? Any opposition? Seeing none, we'll move forward. The next item is acquisition review. Before we get to these two items, last month, as you'll recall, we discussed a tiering ranking system, again, to clarify, only to allocate the resources that we have, not in any way a concern over the integrity of or the future of the program, but just to say, if we have this much money, how do we hierarchy that given the nominations that we have, to make sure that we buy the best ones first, if you will. So we took action on that after a very lengthy report from Mr. Clemens, and I'd like to ask you, how did the board receive that, or what action did they take? Because that was a recommendation we had for the board.
Yeah, the board addressed this yesterday. They approved the tier system as y'all had approved it, and that's what was just passed out to you, is how the tier system looks. They agreed with the concept, and that is how we'll proceed from here on. How this is going to work operationally, we had 9 parcels that were approved for acquisition, and they were put in their respective tiers, and they fall as we have them. So on some of the parcels, we were already actively negotiating or in acquisition activity. The new ones, that's 3 on Pine Island and 1 in the Buckingham area on Orange River and Buckingham Road. We will be ordering appraisals and title work on those and beginning the acquisition process. The other ones fell into Tier 2, so they will be in that, let's call it a holding pattern, until we work through the Tier 1. And at the end of either acquisition or coming to impasse on the Tier 1 parcels, we can reevaluate new nominations that come in and the ones that are in Tier 2, and see which, if any, we wish to send to Tier 1, and then get the board's approval on that and proceed through negotiations or our acquisition activities from there forward. So I think everything went well at the board yesterday, and they followed the recommendations that CLASAC had presented. So that's kind of where we stand right now.
Question, Mr. Clemens?
I apologize for missing last month's meeting, but what are the criteria to determine whether something is Tier 1 or Tier 2?
The quality of the parcel. Primarily, I think we're looking at properties that have native vegetation on them. If you look at the ones that are in Tier 2, all but one of them are former row crop or grove parcels. They've been stripped of native vegetation. They will take a lot of time to be restored, and there's a significant cost in rehab of those row crop or grove fields, and the sky's kind of the limit as to how much restoration you want to put into them. And it's kind of a two-level approach. You can either let it grow back naturally, but you're still going to have to maintain it to keep it from being invaded by exotics, or you can put a tremendous amount of money into it and replant and cultivate to bring back. And that probably isn't practical either. I don't know if anybody here has expertise in that, but we can approach $100,000 or more to get it to that level if you go to the county standard, if you were to be doing a development to bring it to that code.
So are there objective criteria, or is this subjective, like how is it?
I think it's a little of both. You know, some of it is, for example, I use the Buckingham parcel on Orange River and Buckingham Road as an example of what I think would be a definition of what is a property that would be well served to bring to Tier 1. It's got native vegetation on it. It's adjacent to a county facility, and it fronts on a river. It has about 1,500 linear feet on the Orange River. That is part of the ranking criteria scoring we have, but as an overall example of what that is, I think you take that ranking criteria and look at what that is, and you know, it takes care of both subjective and analytically.
So I understand what you're saying, that there are a number of Tier 1 properties that are lined up to be purchased, but if some Tier 1 properties keep trickling in, does that property, like the Buckingham property that we think might be a good candidate for a Tier 1 transfer, like when would that happen?
That is in Tier 1.
Okay.
That parcel was put into Tier 1.
Okay, well, let's think, as an example, there's a property that's borderline that has some disturbance, but also has a lot of potential. Like, at what point would that be a candidate to move over so that we would potentially...
I think that's where open conversation is going to have to come in, you know, and that's kind of where everyone's expertise here is going to come into play.
Okay, so it's just based on the conversation.
Yeah, and I would say it's scoring and that conversation. That's where I think the maintenance side of things is going to come into play as well.
I was going to wait until the comment section to bring this up. It's kind of dovetails in. So I went to both meetings yesterday. I was very encouraged by what I perceived to be an affirmation that all four of the county commissioners that were there were support of the program. I wanted to see the program continue to move forward, and again, very encouraged by that. I did want to discuss, in the midst of discussing this tiered system, I think one or two of the commissioners, particularly Commissioner Bullock, had raised concerns about one of the scores on a parcel that you had in Tier 1.
Correct.
Because the score was so low. And you gave me an explanation as to why it was a valid property. I think that those concerns highlight what we had discussed before, that maybe we need to relook at that scoring system. Because when the commissioners are looking at a parcel and it's only 35 points, I don't remember what it was, and they're saying, why would we want to buy this? And you just have a brief time to explain the value of it. You know, for us, I understand that a unanimous vote to do something to them means a lot more to us than a scoring system does. I thought that that was the same for our county commissioners. I don't know that that's the case based on what I was hearing in the meeting. So can we have a discussion about potentially giving more weight to things like a property that abuts an existing 22-acre conservation property, a property that is, on the coast or, mangrove, or a property that's a flood mitigator? I think those things are becoming more and more valuable and more and more rare, and to give them more weight in their scoring system, I think might help the county commissioners understand the value that we're putting on it after a long discussion when they're just seeing it briefly from across the desk.
Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree. I think Parks and Recs would agree too. We've kind of had those same conversations. We looked at them. What's going to happen is smaller parcels are going to have a lower score, but if they're an infill parcel that's surrounded by conservation land, and I think that's easy to explain. You know, no matter how we come up with a numbering system, there's always going to be that situation.
But the lower number raises the question, and it raises that uncertainty right from the very beginning. Someone has to be able to go up and actually explain it.
we've been doing this for a long time, and every time we've adjusted the scores, there's always been that outlier. And I think at this point, it may be we just have a column that says, here's a score, but here's the reason why we're pushing this, and this is why. It's adjacent to, it has native vegetation, it supports the management aspect of things, whatever that is as to why subjectively we're saying this parcel needs to be acquired. And that's where I think mapping and stuff associated with that helps in that presentation as well.
And maybe it is that I think he's one of the
Commissioners, yeah.
So maybe he didn't perceive that, but even after you explained that to him, I still think he made a comment that I have a hard time supporting a property without knowing the score.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just going to take some discussion.
And, sorry. I was going to say, at our meeting when we were going through this, we spent about an hour and 15 minutes last week going over these, and we had maps and pictures of it. I can't do that at the board meeting. If it was one parcel and we were going through a normal process, I would have those pictures for him, and I think that would have explained better than words would. But yeah, in any other situation, there'd have been more mapping to it. Sorry.
Well, no problem. Thank you all for that discussion. The point that Mr. Robert and Mr. Cruz made, I think, is a very good one. So perhaps staff should think about, all right, how would we address that, or what adjustments should we make for these ancillary factors, if you will, that might cause, other than just the pure score, to be at least asterisk or somewhat modified. I don't know what the answer would be, but why don't y'all put some thought to that and come back with some ideas.
And the board has said they want a workshop on this. It just came up yesterday, so I don't have parameters yet as to what that workshop will be, but I suspect these are the kind of things we can have discussion on going forward.
Will 2020 committee be able to come to the workshop?
I'm sorry.
Will 2020 committee be able to come to the workshop and have any input?
Anybody can come to the workshop, but the workshop is for the board discussion.
So you don't get to say anything?
You can submit your comments. And I think there was conversation last night at the budget meeting as to the commissioner addressing that matter as well.
I think he said there was opportunity to give comment either
Before.
both meeting, but no ability to interact with you.
Correct. And that was the board meeting that is held prior to the workshop, and then direct contact with the commissioner prior to it as well.
Well, why don't y'all put some thought to that and come back with some ideas, if you would. That'd be helpful. Thank y'all for those comments.
And at some point, I might even propose that we go ahead and give weight to those factors, but I'd be interested in your thoughts after digesting that, and then we can revisit it.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Any further comments?
I have a question.
Chrissy?
So when we move forward, we're gonna be doing a review of 2 nominations. When we propose a motion either to move forward for acquisition or to not move forward, are we gonna put in a motion that we're looking toward a tier yet, or that comes later?
I think we put it into the tier depending on what the decision is.
In the motion that we made like today?
Correct.
Now, to follow up with that, will you make a recommendation or a comment about what tier you think these would fall in?
Yeah, we'll do it on these.
What, on these? Okay, good, that should address it. All right, any further comments? Cool, we have 2 parcels for acquisition review. I have a possible conflict of interest on both of those, so I've asked Christy Knight if she would to take over chairing the meeting, as Mr. Bracco is probably stuck in water somewhere and can't get here. So, Christy, if you would work us through the 2 nominations we have for consideration. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have nomination 669 up for review. Would you like to go ahead and let us know what staff came up with and go through our people?
Yes, on this particular parcel, it scored 29 points. As you can see, the vast majority of this property is former row crop and grove land. It still has, I think it's royal palms are on this property still as well. Staff is not recommending forwarding this parcel for those reasons.
I thought you had said
we were to purchase one, that would be the case. They would have to clear that field, but then we get back into a situation where we probably have around 300 or more acres of just empty field.
But it's a buffer because all the mangroves along there, it's a buffer for the flooding. When we have the hurricanes and,
Those mangrove buffer, we did have some,
the property itself would be a buffer also.
we had some conversation staff-wise on this, and the only thing we may recommend is if you look at the middle part of it that is mangrove, I don't know if the property owner and/or the committee would consider recommending a nomination of just that portion, but there's some concern with, you can see these odd-shaped lakes that are in there. Anytime we have farm fields or any type of activity that collects water, I would be concerned what byproduct may be in that.
Well, it is a large piece of property to preserve.
And if this is one, again, staff does not recommend pursuing this parcel as it is nominated. If CLASAC was to recommend going forward with this, we would certainly recommend that it would go in Tier 2. But again, staff is of the recommendation that we not pursue this parcel as it is nominated.
Is the area to the north conservation lands?
The dark green areas you see where it says smoke and Smokehouse Bay, that is 2020 property. And right underneath where it says preserve, that dark green area is conservation property as well.
But to the very north area, all that land up there.
That's not county-owned properties. I don't know if it is, I don't know what ownership it is under. Is mangrove property for sure, but I don't know what the ownership is of that at this time.
All right, any other questions?
Do we know the approximate acreage of farmland on this property in the acreage?
I'm just guesstimating, this is 423 acres. I would estimate around 350 acres has been cultivated.
Need to be restored back to some type of environment. So for the board's edification, I know the question's come up a couple of times about what it costs to restore based upon an acre. I went and pulled some math and on the current plant inventory of if you did restore something to Lee County standards, which is basically a tree every 10 feet on center and a shrub every 3 feet on center. With just the plant material, a layer of mulch, and irrigation, you're looking at about $191,000 per acre. So I know that question's come up on multiple of these reviews just to kind of gauge what it would cost to restore something like that. That doesn't include any contractor markup, mobilization, or anything.
Does that include any of the regrading to match
Nope.
existing grade? So none of the
That
earthwork?
is just plant material, irrigation to establish it, and mulch.
And that's got to be heavily maintained for, if it's the district, it's like 5 years for mitigation.
That is correct. It's 5 years, even in Lee County code as well. So,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So you had mentioned that there would be potential benefit or reconsidering. Have we done this before where we've gone back to a property owner and said, hey, we're interested in a portion of the property that would essentially connect Smokehouse? And is there that much benefit to the two portions being connected that staff would recommend having that conversation?
I think there is. We'd have to make sure that we had legal and physical access to that middle portion to do that. But to answer your question, have we done this before? We've been doing this for 25 years, probably.
All right. So I have a question then. If that were something that we would want you to go back, and would we table now and have you go back and find out about that, or would there be a motion?
I think we
If that were,
recommend make your decision as to where you want to go, and if you want us to come back and ask them to renominate it in a different configuration and then bring it back, and then we would go back and look at that and score that configuration, so it's not depending on what the committee wishes to do.
food for thought.
That portion on East is mangroves on this dirt part.
Correct.
So I should go make a motion to preserve, or have a committee, staff go back and negotiate the portion that's on this dirt.
I think we look at it as it stands, and then, if the committee wants us to go back to the nominator and give them this recommendation, we can proceed in that manner.
All right, other questions, comments? Yes. If we're done? Yep.
Just
Oh,
public
yeah.
comment, yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Make
I was,
sure to-
okay.
I don't know if we have
All right, so I don't have any public comment on this? Oh, absolutely. Sure, come on up. Thank you. And please make sure you introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, members of the Conservation 2020 Committee. My name is Hunter Ward. I'm a senior broker associate for LSI Companies, and I represent the landowner in this disposition. When I was hired to market this property, I approached the assignment the same way that I approach everyone, which is what is the highest and best use for this piece of property. After some reflection, I feel that truly this would probably be a great piece of property for Conservation 2020. And I'd like to tell you some of the reasons why I feel that way. The BOCC Growers property sits directly on the shoreline of the Matlacha Pass, so it's waterfront. It's got a diverse ecosystem of open fields that have been fallow since 2014, mangrove forest, and natural wooded areas. Most importantly, though, in my opinion, it has direct connectivity to the bifurcated Smokehouse Bay Preserve. Currently, Smokehouse consists of two isolated 100-ish acre tracts of land that are split by this BOCC Growers property. If acquired, it would unify the two isolated preserves into one large contiguous property, totaling nearly 600 acres, instead of the fragmented holdings that it currently sits as. An additional benefit would be access. Many of the properties in this area of Pine Island, and specifically that northeastern corner, do not have legal deeded access. This piece of property does. It actually connects Harbor Drive all the way to Smokehouse Bay Preserve with legal access to get there. So I think that that's important if it's not already a part of the Smokehouse Bay Preserve tracts. I think it's a rare opportunity that not every day we get to see a piece of property that is adjacent to existing preserves that is nominated. And I think that it's going to extend the current holdings there and create some connectivity that is going to be valuable. For those reasons, I'm going to request two things from you today. Number one, that you nominate the property for purchase, and number two, that you rank it as a Tier 1 property. This landowner has been very patient with me. I've held the property off the market at my recommendation to present it to this committee first. And I can tell that he is getting antsy for me to put it on the market. I wanted to get through this meeting. I think that if we can establish a clear path, I think that we'll continue to stay the course. If not, then I think we understand that. We still might consider doing business with 2020 in the future, But I think at that point, we're going to want to take the property to the market and test that out. Thank you for your time and your consideration today, and I will leave it in your good hands. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Oh,
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. I'm just very briefly going to speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters, and then I will speak for myself. First of all, I would like to say that the League is opposed to this retroactive application of the tier system on properties that had already been brought forward. The willing sellers that were operating on good faith in the program. As well as the League is opposed to delaying the timing of acquisition for conservation 2020 properties. Now, I'm going to speak as myself, Marcia Ellis. First of all, I would just like to ask that there be complete info in the meeting minutes and that my name and the names of the speakers are recorded, as well as any information that we bring forward and share with the committee, just so we have a complete and transparent record. And then second of all, I want to talk a little bit more about this specific nomination. First of all, I don't really see how we can act without complete information. And I understand that we have many professionals in the room today, and I think that there is an expectation that we understand the nature and the ownership of the surrounding property owners in order to make an informed decision. Let me also point out that there is enormous I've been coming to these meetings for a long time, and I know that to have a property of this caliber that's serving so many functions was a couple of years ago, it's like we would have all just been like celebrating in glee, like high-fiving. I mean, this really has it all, does it not? And the fact that it has been in ag lands, I don't think necessarily is a problem, right? Because I have seen management plans like go on the back burner for years with Conservation 2020 properties. And I recognize that there's a finite number of resources, but we have to be real about what actually happens. I think there's opportunities to do other things here. You know, that restoration, we've kind of maybe shut ourselves into a pigeonhole, you know, that we could expand and really maybe look at some fee simple use of this property in order to keep it out of development, but yet to be able to get some agricultural use with it. Like, you know, maybe some capitalize on those mangroves, which are a wonderful source of honey. Maybe work with some of the local beekeepers, get some bees out there, sow some pollinator crops. But let's expand our thinking here. Let's not just keep repeating the same scenarios. And let's be truthful. This is a great piece of property.
Thank you.
Good evening, Holly Schwartz, Eyes on Conservation 2020. I would echo what Marcia had to say about in previous times we may have celebrated a piece, property this large. This is the kind of piece that doesn't come along often. And I would also maybe just ask the question, I know it can't be answered right now in this forum, but this seems like a parcel that would be eligible for, you know, potential grants for restoration. That would be something I think would be important for this piece specifically because of its proximity to Matlacha Pass, which is impaired for so many different aspects of water quality. So if at all possible, grants for restoration would be something I would hope that we could look into. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody? All right. Okay. So now we're ready if someone would like to make a motion. Yes, Karen?
I would like to nominate this parcel, 669. I think it's a
right, so your motion, what exactly is your motion?
My motion is for nomination 669 to go forward.
Move forward for acquisition,
Yes.
and we would request a tier in the motion.
I'd like to see it go to tier 1. If you can, keep it on the board. Tier 2.
Yes.
Should there be separate votes? Meaning we move forward and then the second vote is what tier it should go in? Or
If you're not moving forward, then I don't know that it's, there's a need to place it in a tier.
Yeah, understood. So if we make a nomination, then we vote on it, and then it doesn't move forward, we don't need to go to the next step and decide which tier.
Correct.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
So there would be two,
Yes.
depending on the first one.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, so we have a motion on the table to move nomination 669 forward for acquisition. All those in favor of, do I get a second? Sorry. Sorry about that. All right, I'm a little rusty. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed?
No.
All right, I got to count. I thought I wasn't voting. Oh, I have to vote. Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm voting no. No, I'm voting yes. Sorry, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You may need a roll call vote. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that?
Nothing.
I mean, I just wanted to make sure that there was 3 forward and the rest are opposed.
I think do roll call.
I just want to make sure we get this accurate.
Yeah.
Karen Andrews was the motion maker, so that's a yes.
Yes.
And the second is Chris Robin, that's a yes. Any others in favor? So that's 4 in favor and the rest is, there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It failed.
There we go. So the motion failed to move forward for acquisition. So that's done. All right, moving on. Next
Does
one.
anyone want to make another, I believe we need a motion.
Oh,
Because right now the motion has failed, so there's been no action taken on the item.
so you would need a motion to not move forward?
Yes.
Is that what happens? Okay.
And question, for the motion, do we need the motion to not move forward? I know we also discussed the potential portion that we may still have interest in. Do we want the motion to not move forward and then to address the potential split of the parcel?
I think that would be clearer.
I mean, I think ultimately we need the property owner to submit an application for less than the full property, but I believe the property owner's representative here is here and heard that discussion. But if you want to include it in your motion as a wish or an intent, that would be fine.
So then I'll make a motion to not move this forward with the hope that the property owner comes back with the portion that the county and the board find value in to connect the two properties.
Second? You got a second? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Okay, we're good? All right, next up, we've got nomination 670. Take it away.
Nomination 670. Can you zoom in on that one a little closer? Staff does not recommend pursuing this property. I believe it's set up for approximately 140 mobile home units. It is already disturbed. You can see the road pattern in here. and the score is 16. I believe the asking price on this was somewhere around $8 million. And that's for 20 acres. So for all those reasons, staff recommends not to pursue this property for acquisition purposes.
All right, do we have any questions, comments about staff review? No? Do we have any public comment?
Marcia Ellis for the record. There is a lot of interest, I think, in the study of these on-site wastewater treatment plants and figuring out their legacy and how to manage them. I think as a community, we need to be having that discussion and not just turning a blind eye, putting on the blinders. And so, this could be an opportunity for study and a broader conversation about how we deal with these legacy facilities. If, for instance, in Sanibel, I know there's SCCF has taken over most of a former waste treatment site over near Heron's Landing, and it has been a source of community controversy because not the whole site was taken into conservation, and there has been long-standing issues about how to handle that and move forward. So I'm just pointing out that this parcel being right next to Estero Bay, and in terms of figuring out how we're going to manage them, I think it's important. This is an important conversation. We have responsibilities for properties, and not just on a personal level, but on a community. You guys are setting some policy, and I just think it's worthy of some discussion.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so taking a look at that, do I have anyone? Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Got that one right.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thanks, everyone. Please, Madam Clerk, if you'd let the record reflect that you participate in the discussion or the vote. Our next item are our staff updates. One thing that's always important, I believe, that we've had the opportunity to hear about every month is what are we doing management-wise on the properties that we have. So, Mr. Young, if you would, fill us in on what he's been doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mac Young, Lee County Parks and Recreation. We have, our first item we have to present is National Public Lands Day, Volunteer Work Day. That'll be September the 27th. And we have a number of preserves that if you want to register to help on this work day, you go to our website, Lee County Parks and Rec website on the left side, Conservation 2020, and Oak Hammock Preserve on the 27th. And all these will be happening on the same day at different locations. The 27th of September, Oak Hammock Preserve will be having trail maintenance done. If you want to volunteer for that, you can go register for that. Moody River Preserve, fence removal and debris cleanup. San Carlos Bay Bunch Beach Preserve, coastal cleanup in that area. Wild Turkey Strand Preserve, fence staining and debris cleanup. And Lee County website, you can register there, and someone will reach out to you, and you can get a time and date for that event. Preserve Imperial Marsh Preserve, staff treatment, exotic fence repairs. Calusi Hatcher Creek Preserve, the boardwalk project is completed, and trails are open to staff. Is still treating exotics. If you look on that one, you know you have that one on that preserve that they finished the boardwalk in that area for Calusi Hatcher Creek Preserve. There was a young lady earlier, I think she went out there and she walked it. She said it's amazing. So you guys get a chance to go out there and walk that trail and walk the boardwalk. The staff did a lot of work to get that done. So I think you'll be very, very pleased with the work they have done for that location. Moody River Preserve, new fence entrance gate and pedestrian walkthrough installed along the roadway. Hancock Creek Preserve, exotic treatment in progress by the contractor. Yucatan Pan Preserve, exotic treatment completed by the contractor located in the northwest side of Lee County, Cape Coral. Wild Turkey Strand, exotic treatment in progress by the contractor. Estero Marsh Preserve, fence repairs in progress. Hidden Cypress Preserve, staff completed fence clearing work in that area. 6 Mile Cypress Reserve North, electric gate installation is completed. And also want to make note too on our preserves, 30 locations are preserved. Our contractor had removed 904 wild hogs off the property of the reserve. So they've been busy doing that. So a lot of stuff has been going on lately at the reserves, and we try to keep you guys updated when we have our meetings.
Thank you very much. Any questions of Mr. Young?
Mac, you said hogs,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Pigs.
But, okay, pigs, okay.
What do you think you said, hawks?
Hogs.
I saw some expressions on faces. I don't think they understood what he had said.
Okay, yes, thank you for that.
Pigs, okay, pigs.
Any questions of Ms. Young? If so, Son.
I'm trying to figure out, Mr. Young, where we pick up our bacon.
Yeah, right? Let's have a barbecue, right?
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Young. Our next item are committee member items. Before we get to the officers issue, we have 2 vacancies on the committee at this point in time. Mr. Botana has tendered his resignation, so we have 2 open vacancies. If you know of anyone that might be interested in serving or would like to recommend someone, please contact staff to let them know that person may be interested. It'd be wonderful to fill those 2 seats. So kind of keep that in mind if you know of anyone. So please do. I don't believe so. I mean, I think the commissioners each pick 3 people, and they might typically think about someone in their particular district, but I don't know what district. They're both District 5, and that is Commissioner Greenwell. Okay, so they're both in the northern part of the county. So that's an area, if you know folks that might be interested there.
No. They don't have to be within the district of the appointed commissioner.
Great, thank you for that clarification. Okay, great info. Our next item is item B, nominations for election of officers. It's the time of year where we need to do that. The first item is nomination and election of CLASAC chair. We'll open the floor for voice nominations. Anyone have any nomination like tender? Mr. Shaw? Okay, we have that. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Okay, let's move on. Honestly, that's actually a very big compliment. Thank you very much for that. Do we have any other nominations that would like to be tendered at this time for chair? Seeing none, we'll close the nominations. We have a nomination, and we have a second and a third. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And that carries unanimously. Thank you guys very much for that confidence. Appreciate that a great deal. Our next position is vice chair. Currently, Mr. Baracco serves as vice chair. He's not here to defend himself, of course, but we will open the floor for nominations by voice for vice chair. Does anyone have a nomination like to tender? Mr. Shaw? I'll nominate Carl Baracco. We have a nomination for Mr. Baracco. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have a second for that nomination?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Mr. Baracco. Seeing no other nominations, we'll close the floor for nominations and proceed with consideration of Mr. Baracco as vice chair. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. He should have shown up. Just kidding. I'm sure there's a reason why Carl's not here. Well, it didn't help me out. I showed up and I still got it. All right, so all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. That carries unanimously. Public comment. Would anyone care to address the committee at this time? Ms. Ellis, please come forward. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening again, CLASAC Committee. Marcia Ellis for the record. So I want to point out what I think is good land planning and what's best management in the way that we handle our lands, in the way that we take in our stakeholder information, like opportunities for public engagement, public input, and what that looks like. And we have a good example, and I alluded to it last time when I talked about the experience, the award-winning Dover coal study that took place in the DRGR. It won all kinds of awards. I still look at it today. It's my go-to. And just recently, just last week, I had the privilege of participating in a webinar hosted by 1,000 Friends of Florida, which was on conservation planning and what that looks like in communities. And they shared examples from Lake Wells, which is an Olmsted community, as well as a couple of other communities, one on the East Coast, for real life case studies and examples of what it looks like, what are best practices, and how do you engage the public in enacting the will of the voters. We've been so lucky because the voters have spoken twice clearly, and they have put a special tax on themselves, which is raising about $65 million annually for public lands. And I think that there is a knowledge gap here. And the knowledge gap is having some objective criteria and bringing in some professionals to refocus our community, this group, and efforts in our county in an informed way that is informed by best practice. Because I don't think that what we are enacting, the tier system, is at all helpful. It is ambiguous and it is arbitrary at best. I really fear that it is a way to work executive decision downward, and I think it limits opportunity for the public to be informed when a property like spanning Smokehouse Bay and all the people that benefit from that flood protection, or folks out in Sandcap that benefit from the opportunity to enhance their appeal to tourists and benefit their community. You want people to be engaged. You have an accountability to the public that is entrusting you with $65 million a year to be managing on their behalf. And I understand it's about $6 million in management, and that the bulk of that is really for acquisition. So I really urge all of you, they record their webinars, they have them, and they are publicly available. You go there, you can get the PowerPoints, you can hear from Victor Dover himself, and you can see what other communities are doing and what actual good practices they are. I learned many things myself about how we can use things like fee simple, how we can work with development rights, how we can look at properties that have fallen into foreclosure, like happens, those vacant properties in Lehigh. They come up all the time in front of the board. I really think that we need to refocus ourselves to that mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. Would anyone else care to address the committee? If so, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Our next meeting date and time is Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 5:30. Everyone put on your comment, Mr. Robin.
I just know we did the comment section, but just very briefly, again, went to both meetings yesterday, and I just had an observation. It's my personal experience. It's my 6th year on the committee. Several years of that first 3 years, every other meeting was canceled. Really didn't have a lot of purchases, and there was a lot of angst. The discussion at that time was, this is the natural cycle of things. This market ebbs and flows, and this is just a time of boom. And landowners are understandably trying to get higher than appraised value, and just not getting a
Thank you for those comments. Very good point. Any other comments from the committee? Seeing none, we're adjourned. See you all next month.
All right, thank you.